Hello. One Voice, One Vote reminds you to vote in the May 16th primary election. And they know you need nonpartisan information to vote what is best for your family. So, One Voice, One Vote is hosting a series of group interviews with candidates for Wilson School Director. And we hope you will watch them. I'm Judith Cranis. I will be the interviewer. First, let's talk about what a school director does. 9 school directors govern the Wilson School District. They set policy, they establish the curricula, that means what is taught, they adopt the budget, and that determines the tax rate necessary to support the budget. They select the superintendent, they approve staff appointments, and they serve part-time, and they are not paid for their work. The term is 4 years. Now, 5 of the 9 seats are up for election this year, and there are 11 candidates on the ballot. All are cross-filed, which means all 11 will be on the Democrat ballot and on the Republican ballot. Now, this election, candidates are being supported by 2 different PACs. A PAC is a political action committee set up to raise money for a group of candidates. 5 are running with support from Friends of Wilson Community for Action. 5 are running with support from Responsible Parents for Wilson School Board, and 1 is running on his own. So today we're going to meet the candidates supported by Responsible Parents for Wilson School Board. And we have with us Val Delp, Amy Murray, Keegan Orzechowski, Cindy Rusnak, and Stonaha. Now I'm going to ask each of them to please take 45 seconds, not a lot of time, to tell us about themselves and why they are running. Amy, we'll start with you.
Val.
Oh, Val, excuse me. I'm confused already.
It's all good. Hello, I'm Val Delp. I'm a mother of 2 small children who will soon be entering the Wilson School District. I am a former educator, taught both at the elementary level as well as early childhood education. And now for the last 12 years, I've been running a financial advisory business with my husband. I feel both of those experiences give me a lot of unique perspectives from both the financial standpoint of being able to help with balancing the school budget and then the educational experience as well and understanding the challenges that teachers face.
Thank you, Amy.
Hi, my name is Amy Murray, and I'm a mother of 3, and 2 have graduated from Wilson. 1 is graduating this year. The reason why I'm running is I also have a grandbaby who is 1 year old, and I just want to make sure that she's going to get the best education she possibly can because she is in the Wilson School District. In addition to that, I think I bring a lot to the table as far as my communication with the community, staying level-headed, and taking kind of the confrontation out of conversation and really listening to the community's needs.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Keegan Orzechowski. I'm a graduate of Wilson High School. I went to Penn State and got a bachelor's degree in biotechnology. I'm a career research and development scientist. I live in the community with my wife and my 3 boys. I coach youth soccer with the Wilson Junior Soccer Club. And I believe my career as a scientist, I can objectively look at data and make well-informed decisions. And I think that's important for the district at this point. Again, as Amy mentioned, I believe in that respectful community engagement and building community unity as opposed to divisiveness.
Thank you. Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy Rusnak. I'm the old person they brought along. But anyway, I'm a grandmother, obviously a mother too, but I have 2 grandchildren in the Wilson School District. Back when the pandemic came upon us, I was experiencing a little bit of challenge because my child was experiencing challenge with my grandchildren. And I started paying attention to the school boards, listening to them on the internet, and I really kind of got upset because it was so divisive. I felt like a lot of energy was being put into arguing instead of coming up with decisions, taking opinions from all people. That's what led me to run for the board. I feel like I have a lot of experience. I ran a Montessori school for many years. I did all kinds of volunteer work when my children were young,
To
CYO.
move on, Amy.
Yeah.
Okay, Cindy. So I'm
Oh,
going
I
to go
didn't
to
even pay
Craig.
attention to that.
I'm getting all names confused, sorry.
No, my name is Craig Stonaha, and I'm running. I have a little girl. She's 10 years old. I'm also a local business owner. I own multiple businesses in the area, employing dozens of people. I've been involved with Wilson, both as a sponsor for events at Wilson with the Wilson Education Foundation, volunteering at the school, working with the PTOs for years. In fact, I spent a lot of time working on STEM organizations in the area, and in fact, I spent all day today up at Cabela's at a STEM competition for the U.S. Navy, which included local schools from all over Berks County. So my primary focuses are the financial aspect as a business owner, as well as the academic aspect of making sure that we stay focused on high-end academics and keeping our status as one of the premier schools in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go into our first question. I'm going to direct this one to Val. What do you see as the biggest issue facing Wilson schools?
That's a great question, thank you. I think for me personally, I feel one of the biggest issues is the shortage of teachers right now. We've seen that there have been a lot of positions that haven't been refilled, and we struggle with keeping those positions filled once we do bring new teachers on. So I think there's a challenge to both attract teachers to the district as well as retaining them in the district. Part of that comes from creating a great culture within the school so that teachers want to stay once they're here, and I think supporting the teachers in any way that we can. There needs to be more of that as well.
Thank you. Does anybody have a different issue in 15 seconds they'd like to say is the top one?
I think that has to go all the way up the line, like to the state, because, for example, 16,000 people graduated with a teaching certificate. Now, this year was only 4,000. So we have an uphill battle. And if we have a good district, providing for the teachers, supporting them, we can get more teachers, perhaps, than other districts can. So.
Okay. Then we'll go to Amy. Safety at school is huge to our families. What do we need to do to make our schools safe?
Thank you for asking me that. So our group of people have worked very closely with the school resource officer to look at the safety plan, make sure that we're continuously improving it. We have a great relationship with our school resource officer. In addition to that, I think safety, there's a cultural aspect to safety. Providing a positive culture in our school district with teachers and students and administrators really will help keep everyone safe in the school.
Does anyone have anything
Judith,
else?
if I could throw
Yes.
into that too. This group has actually put so much time in already that we've created our own safety plan that we presented to the administration and an entire safety podcast series that we all worked on together, which has actually been done in conjunction with child psychologists, therapists, local resource officers, local police, and the administration. So we've been heavily involved in the safety issue.
And does that involve guns in the school?
Some of it does, but that's not the primary focus. It's more of a generalized safety focus where, response times, what are parents supposed to do if there's an event? What should they expect to have to see as a response from the school, from the local law enforcement, more of an education platform.
Okay. Keegan, we'll go to you next. The Wilson district is becoming more diverse. Wilson has a diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. Could you say what that's about and what your view is on it?
Yeah, I think when that conversation comes up, we have to get some definitions. Is what are we looking at when we talk about inclusion and equity and all that? I think this kind of circles back to a key point: is having that engagement with the community. What does the community see across the board from all corners of the district? Right? What do the people feel? Do they feel it's an equitable environment? If they don't see equity, where do they see there can be improvement? And I think we have to have that buy-in from all stakeholders, members of the community, the parents, the teachers, the administration. And I think that begins when we have that respectful conversation and engagement and talk to the people who are kind of in the know on the front lines.
Okay, does anyone have anything to add?
I think just to add to what he's saying is we really pride ourselves on having respectful communication with the community. We realize that we represent the community if we are on the board. So it's important for us to be able to communicate directly with the community.
Any other comments? We're running ahead of time.
Really? I did not see that one coming. All right.
And there is a follow-up question. Is it important that teachers have diversity training? Whoever wants to answer.
Well, I think if there is a problem, as Keegan said, we need to address the problems and where are the problems coming from. I think that in this country, that diversity is a great thing. We all want to be represented, and we all want to be good representatives to the students we serve. So I think we need to address like specifically where the problems come in. So I'm for training of any kind that improves a teacher's ability to train the students that he or she works with. Do I think it has to be only that? No, I think if there are problems in that area, you need to address that. You need to have training in that. If there are problems in other areas, the money and the time should be spent on those areas. And we can talk about academics and safety and like all these different issues. So,
Well, I'm going to go on to the next question, and it's yours, and it follows in.
okay.
Because some say America has not lived up to its ideals, and we need to hear minority voices. And others say this is woke culture, whatever that means, and emphasizes differences rather than similarities. How do you see this issue?
Okay, I look at it, I compare the United States to the rest of the world. And I'm not saying we are better, and they are not, but I look at where we have been and where we are now, and we have come a long way. Does that mean we're perfect? No. We are human beings, we make mistakes, we don't do everything right. That's never going to change. So again, looking at what is a problem, addressing that, and moving forward in that area. Do I think there are challenges? Yes. Do I think it's, there's problems everywhere? No. So I do think that we need to see people represented from all walks of life. But I also think we have to balance that with good quality staff, no matter where they're from.
Anybody else want to weigh in with that?
I would just like to say that, a lot of times we see this all or nothing attitude, where the concept becomes either America's bad or America's good.
Yeah.
Rarely is it ever that. It's the world lives in gray, and what you need is reasonable people that are willing to look at the data and have conversations with people and come up with reasonable solutions. You can't just burn America down, but you also can't just glorify it for no reason.
Yeah.
So everything lives in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. And Craig, you get the next question.
All right.
Some people have talked at school board meetings about banning books. How do you feel on this topic?
Well, what I will say is, and I did actually write an article on this for Wilson, I have never heard of anyone at Wilson talk about banning books. What I have heard is I've heard a number of conversations from parents and from teachers saying that we need to be in tune to age appropriateness of books. So, and this is something that we've done for a long time. We've always used our guidance as adults to influence what's appropriate for children. We do it with selling of cigarettes. We do it with labels on movies or on TV programs. We help guide our youth and make sure that they don't get influenced by things that maybe are too advanced or too mature for them. And this does apply to certain books. I mean, one of the examples I used in the article I wrote is we do not read Mein Kampf to second graders. And there's a reason for that, and it's because the content would have no meaning to them. There's no frame of reference. So we need to be aware of parental rights, what parental opinions are, and how it influences our children.
I think
go ahead.
I think it's also important to remember that just because every child, a group of children are the same age, it doesn't mean that they're at the same maturity level.
That was going to be the question I was going to say. We have a Montessori teacher here, and that's
great point.
Montessori's famous for that.
Developmentally appropriate.
Right.
Absolutely.
So whereas, some children's experiences young put them at a different maturity level. Others, you know, may have had trauma that puts them in a whole different category of why that book may not be appropriate for them. Their parents may be the only ones who have that information. So it's important to kind of work together to make sure that kids are getting the appropriate books for them.
Yeah, and along with what Amy's saying, I think that's the biggest piece, is just making sure parents have the information. If they're provided, you know, what is this content about that my children are being presented, they can help make an informed decision because they know their child the best about whether it's appropriate for their child to read. And they can also have meaningful conversations with their children. Whereas if they're not provided that information, there may be some missed opportunities there.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because my mother's philosophy was akin in that, of course, I read anything I got my hands on, but we had to discuss it later.
Right.
So she was exercising that when, and especially because it's when kids will listen to their parents that that's most important. But you know, there was nothing banned from my reading. There was nothing barred, but
Right.
it was always that discussion.
But
with the parent.
you know, going along with this whole idea of developmental too, because I can look at my grandchildren, look at my own children, they're very different. Something that my older daughter read at a very young age, because she was a very good reader,
Absolutely.
an avid reader, could discuss anything, and had a very good comprehension level for many of the books that she read. By the time I got to my second daughter, like, her interests were totally different, and she was really naive in a lot of things. So I don't think that she would have gleaned the same thing or had the same level of understanding that my oldest daughter did. Did that mean I totally kept her away from it? No. I leaned her towards things that she could learn from and benefit from at her level. It was very different than my older daughter.
Well, we're going to go on to another question because now we're a little behind it.
That was bound to happen.
Goes that quickly.
Schools deal with all society's problems: poverty, hunger, emotional illness, drug abuse, and the pandemic. What is the responsibility of the school board to address these issues?
I'd like to take that.
Okay.
So I have some experience with a lot of those issues. I was a foster parent. I ended up adopting one of my children out of the foster care system. So I have a unique look at some of the challenges that students can be facing when they're in our schools. The board's responsibility, the school's responsibility is to support them in the best way they possibly can by giving them the resources that they're aware of, referring their parents, involving their parents or foster parents or caregivers, being a collaborative part of that child's safe zone is really important.
Anybody have anything to add? Very quickly so we catch up on time.
Well, I was going to say, I think that the key is what Amy was saying, is there has to be collaboration, that it can't just be the school taking over the role. It has to be the school supporting the parent in their role of counseling, getting them hooked up with the treatment center, whatever. So,
Okay, now when it comes to mental health, and we have a lot of those issues now, should the help be provided by the school? Should it be the community or private resources? Any thoughts?
I think that teachers and staff should definitely be advocates for our children. If they feel that a child is struggling and they need help, that should be discussed with the parents, and they should be provided, you know, some referrals or other resources to take advantage of. I don't believe that it's the district's sole responsibility to handle those mental health concerns, but they should absolutely be advocates for our children and helping everyone get the resources they need.
Okay.
There's also some, oh, do I have time? That's,
Yes.
nope. No, there's just some great examples of schools that are working very collaboratively with local government too, to make sure that these resources are much more available to students. And we're seeing great results in those types of projects where the school's not taking it all on their own shoulders. They're not trying to be social services and trying to be 100 other governmental agencies while also being an educational institution. So,
can I add 2 cents to all this? Because you do have to worry about the financial part too. Like, you know, we are responsible to the taxpayers, and we can't just keep providing services not that those students don't deserve those services, but there has to be a balance. So if you can utilize community resources and government resources in other aspects, the key is collaboration and talking about this in order to get it done.
And just real quick to highlight, the point of the district, right, of the education system is the core competency is educating our students, getting them to graduate and prepared for the next step in their lives, right? And the school can facilitate other things, but their core competency must be educating our students to that next level.
Okay. Our last actual question is that the group is supported by a PAC. And can you tell us how much money it has raised in small donations, large donations from Wilson residents, from people outside the district? What can you tell us about it? That's a Craig thing.
That would be a me thing. I can't tell you exact numbers right now because the PAC's been in existence for about 3 years and there's been quite a few donations over that. What I will say is the vast majority of the money raised comes from small to medium-sized donations from the Wilson community. So usually between $50 and $250 is almost all the money. There was one large donation that we received 2 years ago, I believe it was, two and a half years ago, something like that. And that was the largest single donation we ever received from another PAC. Other than that, it's been all either family members of PAC members and community members that have given from outside the area or just community members.
So you do take money from outside, but it's related to people who are running, or beyond that?
Well, I mean, because we all have, I mean, I think Amy has family in Texas, and they donated to help us, and I have family out of the county that donated.
Are there non-family donations from outside?
There was, to my knowledge, there was only 2, I believe. And one was the large donation that we got, and our only rule with that is we said, that's fine, we'll take it, but no strings. If you want to help us, we'll take the help, because we were running a writing campaign at the time, so it was very expensive. So now this time we have not taken any large donations. I don't think we've taken any donations from outside the county, have we? Except for a couple of family members.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have only 3 minutes left, and I have to wind up with some more election stuff. So I'm going to give you a quick 30 seconds for each of you to make a closing statement. And in that, would you say which political party you're registered in? Because in a crossfile, that's the first question I always get.
Sure, yep. Thank you very much for listening today. Again, my name is Val Delp. I'm registered with the Republican Party. I hope you'll come out and vote. And if you have further questions for any of us, we do have a website. You're welcome to check that out and contact us through the site as well.
Amy?
Thank you. Again, I am also registered with the Republican Party. I truly believe wholeheartedly that politics should play no part in a school board. And one of the things I'm really adamant about is leaving politics out of schools.
Craig?
You guys
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of order. Keegan?
Oh, skip me. Again, I'm Keegan Orzechowski. I think the main thing to keep in mind is we're all one community. I'm registered in the Republican Party. But again, we agree on 90% of the issues. We have common goals. And I don't like that 10% we might disagree on to be divisive. I think have those conversations with members of the community you might disagree with, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. But I think that's where we have, that's where we really progress ourselves as a community and come together to solve some of the common issues.
Okay.
Thank you. Cindy Rusnak again here. I am registered as a Republican. I can tack on to everything that the three before me have said. I think one of the main reasons I stepped into this position to seek the candidacy was because there was so much divisiveness. The bottom line is we're all here for our children and grandchildren. And I don't care what party you're in, you want what's best for your children and grandchildren. So hopefully you get out to vote. We'd love to have your vote. Thank you.
And I'm Craig Stonaha. I'm also a registered Republican. And I would just like to say that for the last probably month and a half, we have done nothing but go door to door almost every single day. Either us, volunteers, there's always someone out there talking to the community. And we encourage you to please reach out if you want to have a conversation. Like Val said, hit our website. We get back to everybody personally, and we'll come out to your house. We'll have a conversation if you have questions or concerns or things you need answered. Please don't be afraid. We're very, very, very transparent.
Thank you all, and thank you for making that last one quick so we met on time. We're thanking the Wilson candidates who are here today, and it was Val Delp, Amy Murray, Keegan Orzechowski, Craig Stonaha, and Cindy Rusnak. The candidates who were invited to other interviews, because I must mention their names as well, include Brad E. Hart, Bob Schneider, Bernard McCree, Guadalupe Casper, Jennifer Denny, and Michael Martin. Now, One Voice, One Vote thanks you for watching the Wilson School Director candidate interviews. The election is Tuesday, May 16th. And for information on all the people and all the races on your ballot, we recommend the League of Women Voters online guide, vote411.org. That's .411.org. And you can also watch candidates up front. League of Women Voters interviews candidates for judge, county commissioner, mayor, city council, some of the district justices, and the other county row officers. And these are in cooperation with BCTV, and they're on the BCTV webpage and its YouTube site, so that'll fill out the rest of your ballot. And on behalf of One Voice, One Vote, good day.